continuing with a sort of theme I'm doing at the moment, which is using some sesame seeds. We're going to use 200 grams of sesame seeds to make a simple but classic Greek sort of sweet treat, if you like, Pasteli, which is honey and sesame bars, and that's all there is to it really, honey and sesame seeds. Now I've also got a lemon. I'm going to add a little bit of zest of lemon and a pinch of salt, but that's it. So all you're going to need is a pan. This is about a 20 centimetre square pan. I've lined with parchment paper, baking paper, which is where we're going to pour the mixture. But we're going to start by toasting our sesame seeds. So I'll put them in there, and then I'm just going to put this up to a fairly high heat and toast them for a couple of minutes. So that's a little bit of a light toasting, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to transfer that off. I shall need, because it's my aluminium pan that keeps that heat in there, I will need to keep my eye on it. Okay, keep it mixing, otherwise some of them are going to get over toasted. And then in a saucepan, now you could, if you want, you could take them out to cool and you could do it all in that same pan, but I needed to measure this out because I wasn't sure if I had enough honey, because basically it's 200 grams seeds, 200 grams of honey, and I literally just add 200 grams of honey. So what we're going to do, I've kept that heat on, and we're going to warm that honey up, and we want to get it up to a boil. Okay. So once that's boiling, I'll transfer the seeds in there, and then we're going to reduce the heat and then just let it boil away for about 5 minutes, but we will need to keep agitating it. That honey's started to melt now, because that was like the crystallised honey. Kept it in the fridge. You can keep honey in the fridge, not unless you want it to crystallise. And then once that's at that stage with the seeds added and we're starting to boil it, we'll add the pinch of salt, and then once that's boiled for 5 minutes, we'll take it off the heat and we'll add the lemon zest. All right, so I'm just going to let this come up to the boil, and I need to get myself another cold drink. So that's just come to the boil, so I'm just going to add a little pinch of salt. I know it's a Greek dish, but that was pink Himalayan salt, but never mind. Okay, and then I'm going to take the pan of my sesame seeds and we're going to add them. I'm going to give them a quick mix in, and then I'm just going to reduce that heat down, okay, to low to medium, and we just want it to boil for 5 minutes. Now we don't want to add the zest at this stage, because if we're boiling it for 5 minutes, all that's going to happen is that, of course, all them lemon oils will just boil off. So we'll add that when we remove it from the heat. So it's gone off the boil at the minute. Once that's up to boil, I'll leave it for 5 minutes. Now I'm beginning to think, actually, to be honest, even though the recommendation for this amount was for a 20 centimetre dish, that's going to spread out an awful lot. So I'm going to find a smaller little dish, so at least we get some thicker bars. So we'll just let this get boiling, and then when we're ready to add the zest, I'll come back to you. So turn the heat off, and what we're going to do now is I'm just going to zest a lemon into it, okay, and then we'll stir that in. I've got a loaf tin I'm going to do it in, okay, so I've lined that as well. That's just about that there. Get all that in there, and then we'll just mix that through. Okay, and now I'm just going to pour that into there and then just spread it all evenly into that tin, and then we're going to let it cool for about 20 minutes. The longer it cools for, the thicker, if you like, it becomes. Okay, so we obviously want it to cool enough that it's become fairly solid, so that we can then cut it into bars, as it were. But like I say, that's going to be at least 20 minutes. You don't want to be putting this in your mouth at the moment. So I'm just spreading that as evenly as I can in the base of that. That would have definitely been lost in that bigger tin. Okay, I think that's about as even as I'm going to get it. So we just leave it, like I say, for 20 minutes to cool down, and then we'll turn it out and we'll cut it up. So this is not fully set, but it's getting there. So what I'm going to do at this point is, while it's still soft enough, I'm now just going to cut it into some bars. Okay, and then we'll just let it continue to cool and to harden. Now these are obviously going to be very sickly, a lot of honey in it, so I'm going to probably cut these bars in half. Okay, let's just take a bit of that one. So obviously very much sesame, but you've got that sweetness of that honey. It reminds me of those sesame bars that you could buy in this country, but if you like sesame seed and you like the honey, excellent. So there you go, there's some Greek Pasteli honey and sesame bars.